All right. So here's the shortcut to thinking. Zachariah Sitchin. Look up where his home office was. You can also look up who he was affiliated with. Zachariah Sitchin was controlled opposition. He also knocked out a bunch of really crummy translations, on par with being so fucking bad that they rival what Mathers did in tarot circles and the occult. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should look up the name Mathers. Look up the Mathers name and tarot. I mean, use the fucking internet. Use your brain. Most people don't, and they're just gonna ask me, "What's that?" It's fucking pathetic. All right, so this is Scooby-Doo, and this is lesser magic, but it's not the kind of lesser magic that teaches you something. This is propaganda at its finest. And this is how lesser magic works. Cuts both ways. Have yourself a listen.
Me about our little underwater escapade.
And I'm sorry about the token TikTok noises that have no place in this. People aren't that bright, so they use them.
There's a lot about that adventure I wish we could forget. Amen to that. But the weirdest part of all was what the late Abigail Gluck whispered.
Like I'll say, a crazy mummified corpse whispering Nibiru is creepy times 10.
It gets creepier. I googled it and found a lot. Namely this. Nibiru is a planet listed in the writings of Zachariah Sitchin, particularly his book The 12th Planet. According to Sitchin's interpretation of Babylonian religious texts, a giant planet called Nibiru passes by Earth every 3,600 years and allows its sentient inhabitants to interact with humanity. These beings, which Sitchin identified with the Anunnaki of Sumerian myth, would become humanity's first gods. My favorite internet encyclopedia says there's supposed to be a collision. The Nibiru collision is a disastrous encounter between the Earth and a large planetary object. Believers in this doomsday event usually refer to this object as Planet X, or Nibiru.
Doomsday event?
Now, if people were researching, I'm not talking about the flat Earth, and I'm not talking about the globe theory. I'm not. Those are both spoon-fed to you by our masters to mislead people. In many ways, they're the same outline. I shit you not. If you're paying attention and you just scoffed, think about the flat Earth shit. What are they talking about these days? They're talking about multiple domes, right? Multiple islands, multiple horseshit disconnected things. What are the people in the globe theory talking about? They're talking about disconnected galaxies and planets off in fuck all. It's the same thing. It's the same outline. People just aren't terribly bright. They're not paying attention. If they were thinking for themselves, they would recognize bullshit because it smells like bullshit. So if you actually dug up some of the roots that reflect reality, they all lead to the same place and they all paint the same big picture. But people aren't doing that. That's why you don't see answers online. But if you did, you would understand out of the gates that, one, we're not on a wandering star floating in fucking Photoshop. So everything that was just rattled off in here is absolute nonsense. Planets don't exist. This is absolute fucking nonsense. But the lesser magic has to do with something else. Something else. The Native American Indians, feathers not dots. There's old mythology or lore, oral tradition that's told. And it has to do with this. But not the way it's dressed up. Not whatsoever. But you don't hear about that on the internet, do you? No. Instead, you just hear about the flat Earth and the fucking globe theory. As always, what the fuck do I know? Get rid of that shit.